Hi, babe. Okay, so you've told me that this case came up. It's very important.
Hmm.
We're putting it in where we have case
Where we had Betsy's case.
Betsy's
So
case. So this
Betsy,
is out of
so
order.
yeah, so this is now episode. This is Grim Geography's newest episode 4. Betsy will now be episode 6 because I
Okay.
already have Elmer as episode 5 for next week while I'm gone.
Okay.
Yes. So if that is delayed, I am gone next week. Part of next week.
Yes. Okay. So Betsy is number 6,
Hmm.
and this is actually episode 4.
Yes. So we are on episode 4. Um, which really sucks that I was almost done with Betsy's episode editing it because it's to go up tomorrow, and now I have to scramble.
Take care of this one.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So who is this about?
So this is Christa Pike.
Okay.
I'm taking us to Tennessee, 1995 through 1996.
Okay.
Um,
Is this a missing person? No. A murder?
It's a murder.
Okay, did they solve it?
Yes, it is solved. Because Christa is the perpetrator. It's a female killer.
Wow. Is she a serial killer?
No.
Okay.
So what was interesting, do you want to know why I want to discuss this case, or do
Sure,
you want to know?
let's hear why we're discussing it.
So Christa, 20 years old, was convicted of first-degree murder in Tennessee and was sentenced to death. She is the only woman on death row in Tennessee right now, and she will be her execution. She had a hearing on the 30th of September, so just a few days ago, and they set her execution for exactly a year later, so next year in 2026. So she will be the first female executed in Tennessee in over 200 years, and only the 19th woman in modern U.S. history. The 19th woman female to be executed in modern day history.
Okay.
And this is a really hard case because the victim's mother wants her executed, wants her gone, wants her dead, wants this done.
Well, we've talked about
we have, taking families' wishes into consideration. But what's so interesting about this is Chris's history. And I'm not trying to justify anything she did.
Well, you're supposed to take in mitigating circumstances.
And they did not.
Okay.
And you can tell pretty quickly they did not. And I'm not advocating either way. I'm always on the side of the victim and getting the justice that her and her
family wants.
Yeah. But I also think it's also important to discuss.
Yeah, what she's gone through as a child, what she went through as an adult, what caused her to do this. Yes. Mental illness is huge.
And it is very rare for a female to be put on death row.
Yes.
It's extremely
rare.
Is
it Eileen, what's her name in Florida?
Eileen Woolhauser or
something like that. Was she put on death row?
I think so.
Okay.
The last female to be executed was in Alabama in 2023.
Okay.
Okay, so background in Tennessee, because I feel like, again, we always have to discuss every state is extremely different.
Yes.
With capital punishment.
Yes.
So Tennessee, when they seek the death penalty in Tennessee, the sentence is decided by the jury and must be unanimous. Okay. So they are a unanimous jury.
Okay. So this was a unanimous jury that sentenced her.
Yes. In case of a hung jury, during the penalty phase of the trial, a life sentence is issued, even if only a single juror is against death.
Yes.
Does not matter. There is no retrial. They will never retry it. Like in some states, they allow for retrials if they refile certain ways.
Or they give it a hung jury and then
mistrial.
Mistrial.
So the method of execution is lethal injection, but a prisoner condemned before January 1st, 1999 may choose to be electrocuted instead. Electrocution is also provided if lethal injection is held unconstitutional or if any drug necessary to carry it out is unavailable through no fault of the Tennessee Department of Correction.
Yes, we had that big problem where they weren't getting certain drugs and everything like that.
If electrocution is held unconstitutional, state statutes then provide the use of any constitutional method of execution.
Firing squad, hanging. I don't know.
Tennessee has a very interesting past history of execution with women. They've only executed 3 women between 1807, 1808, and 1819. And they were the hangings of 3 black women.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Only one of their names is known, and that of Molly Holcomb in 1807. 2 of them are listed as slaves, which names the crime as murder, though many slaves were unjustly killed themselves over false accusations or for no reason at all. So, first-degree murder can be punishable by death when it involves any of the following aggravating factors. So, Tennessee has 16 factors.
Okay, it just has to be one?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So, the murder was committed against a person less than 12 years of age.
Okay.
The defendant was previously convicted of 1 or more felonies other than the present charge, whose statutory elements involve the use of violence to the person.
Okay.
The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to 2 or more persons other than the victim murdered during the act of murder.
Okay.
The defendant committed the murder for essentially a murder for hire. Okay. Is the best way to put it. The murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel in that it involved torture or serious physical abuse beyond that necessary to produce death. And that is the factor they got Christa Pike on. Okay. She brutally tortured this girl.
How old was this girl?
So, Christa Pike was 20. The girl was 19. Okay. And
Was it over a guy?
Yes.
How did I know that? How did I know that?
And Christa Pike fucked her and her accomplices over. Oh yeah. It's a whole thing.
Oh my God. How did I know it was over a guy?
So the murder was committed for the purpose of avoiding, interfering with, or preventing a lawful arrest or prosecution of the defendant or another. The murder was knowingly committed, solicited, directed, or aided by the defendant, while the defendant had a substantial role in committing or attempting to commit, or is fleeing after having a substantial role in committing or attempting to commit any first-degree murder, arson, rape, robbery, burglary, theft, kidnapping, aggravated child abuse, aircraft piracy, or unlawful throwing, placing, or discharging of a destructive device or bomb. Okay.
So blowing something up and killing everybody.
Or hurting a child.
Yes.
In a heinous way. The murder was committed by the defendant while the defendant was in lawful custody, and hence the killing someone in prison. Jail. Yeah. The murder was committed against any law enforcement officer, corrections official, corrections employee, probation and parole officer, emergency medical or rescue worker, emergency medical technician, basically essentially anyone who is performing official duties in any capacity. Yeah. Murder was committed against any president or former judge, district attorney general, or state attorney general, basically essentially anyone who's held the status of official duty in the state. Or that the defendant knew that the victim occupied such office at any point in time. Okay. The murder was committed against a national, state, or local popularly elected official due to or because of the official's lawful duties or statuses, and the defendant knew that the victim was such an official. The defendant committed mass murder.
Well, that might not do it.
Whether committed during a single criminal episode or at different times within a 48-month period. So 48 months, that's 3. How many years is that?
4.
4 years. Thank you. My math is. The defendant knowingly mutilated the body of the victim after death. The victim of the murder was 70 years of age or older, or the victim of the murder was particularly vulnerable due to significant handicap or significant disability, whether mental or physical, and at the time of the murder, the defendant knew or reasonably should have known of such handicap or disability. Okay. The murder was committed in the course of an act of terrorism. The murder was convicted against a pregnant woman, and the defendant intentionally killed the victim knowing that she was pregnant. Okay. So, Tennessee has carried out 14 executions since the reinstatement of the death penalty in the death penalty, 1 in 2000, 5 from 2006 to 2009, 3 during the final months of Bill Haslam's second term. And the current, I want to say, I can't remember who it is, and 6 so far under Bill Lee.
So okay, Lee, so how many people do they have on death row right now?
That I am not 100% positive.
Okay.
So a lot.
But she's the only woman.
Currently, yes.
Okay. So in other words, the women don't get the death penalty, really.
Oh, here you go. As of September 2024, 45 condemned prisoners are incarcerated on the state's death row. The Tennessee Supreme Court sets execution dates, and the governor alone, of course, decides
clemency. On whether they're actually gonna.
But the Tennessee Board of Probation and Parole does make a recommendation in each case, but the governor is not required to follow their recommendations.
Okay.
And so it's so interesting is that executions take place at the Riverbend Maximum Security Institution, Nashville, at 10 a.m.
Okay. So I guess they don't get their last dinner meal. Mm-hmm. They get breakfast.
Mm-hmm. So the only other female that was on death row with her had her sentence commuted to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole in July 2010.
Okay.
Owing to a sentence deemed disproportionate, she was convicted in 1986 for having killed her husband who beat her.
Oh. Okay. I have a problem with women and men getting life sentences or the death penalty for killing their spouse that beats the fuck out of them. I'm not saying they shouldn't go to jail. I'm not saying that, that they shouldn't stand trial. But come on. If they're beating them, and I'm not saying just women, I'm saying men, they get the crap beat out of them. It's not easy to leave them. They don't know what to do. They rely on them. They blah, 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 blah. I can see why they'd kill them. Mm-hmm. But getting the death penalty,
it's also kind of like the women who kill their pimps.
Yeah.
I fully support them doing it.
Yeah.
Say what you want about me. So, Governor Bill Lee put a 5-year pause on Tennessee's executions because the methods were deemed unconstitutional at the time.
Okay.
So in 2024, Tennessee saw moves to allow the death penalty for defendants convicted of child rape. Okay. And he signed that into law in May 2024. So as of March 2025, Tennessee has scheduled 4 executions for the year. 4 which were murders. 3 of them have been executed, with Harold Wayne Nichols coming December 11, 2025.
Okay.
So thus this ended the 5-year pause on the moratorium for the death penalty.
Okay.
So that is just the background of the death penalty in Tennessee. Like I said, every state is very different, is extremely different.
Yes.
So this brings us to Christa Gale Pike. So she was born prematurely in 1976 to Carissa Hansen and Amel Glenn Pike in Beckley, West Virginia.
Okay.
So, and that's where she and her older half-sister were raised initially. Okay. Her parents had a tumultuous relationship, being married for 2 years, divorced for a year after Hansen was found to be cheating, and remarried for another 2 years after Hansen attempted suicide. So the mom cheated and then attempted suicide to get the dad back.
Okay.
So
I said it just wasn't the mom. It was the dad, too, that had a really shitty time.
Mm-hmm. Both of them were frequently negligent, and that is important to note.
Okay.
And one of their aunts noted that as an infant, Christa would be crawling around through piles of dog stool over the house, and that Hansen continued a lifestyle of carousing even after receiving news that her toddler was experiencing severe seizures. So she was born prematurely, and she had a lot of
medical
issues. So,
and crawling through dog shit.
So her paternal grandmother would frequently help care for her, and I feel so weird referring to her as Christa because I feel like it's humanizing her, and I'm kind of torn between calling her that or her last name. What do you think?
I don't know, because she's not, I mean, what she did was so wrong.
So, okay. So then we'll do it as Pike. So Pike believes her grandmother was the only one who ever loved her. Her mother testified that that Pike had attempted an overdose of acetaminophen.
Okay, so everybody knows that's Tylenol, right?
Which is currently up for what is it? RFK and Trump believe that Tylenol causes autism.
Yes, that's a whole other story.
When she was in the 3rd grade.
Okay.
Thereafter, she received psychiatric treatment followed by psychological care and therapy at different times. At age 12, so this is subsequent to her grandmother's death, in 1988, Pike attempted suicide, for which she received little support.
Okay. So second attempt. And she's only 12.
Mm-hmm. So her living situation continued to be unstable throughout her teenage years, as she was both the recipient and perpetrator of violence. One of her mother's boyfriends punched her in the face after she chased him with a butter knife. Criminal charges were filed, then settled. So while staying with her thus she got kicked out of her mom's house.
Yeah.
She began staying with her father's new family because he had remarried and had kids.
Oh, wow.
One of her young half-sisters claimed to have been molested by her, causing her father to kick her out from his home.
Yeah.
However, Pike claimed to have been sexually assaulted or molested at several points in time.
Okay.
Her friends and family doubt these claims.
Okay.
Noting that she is a pathological liar. Her mother claimed that in one incident, a man claimed by telephone that he was going to rape Hansen. In response, Pike and a friend beat him with a stick in a parking lot.
Oh my God.
Any questions so far?
No, she's got a lot of issues, whether she's a liar or not.
It gets better when she goes to jail.
Oh my God.
It gets better. So although she had been intelligent as a child, her unstable home caused her to frequently change schools, which, of course, would hugely impact her performance. So in 10th grade, she was sent to a juvenile facility for a year, where she became interested in the Job Corps. So it's a government program aimed at helping low-income youth by offering vocational training and career skills.
Okay.
Essentially, it's like a trade school, but not.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So Pike reportedly completed her GED program and aspired to train as a nursing assistant.
Okay.
So in late 1994, she attended the Job Corps Center in Knoxville, Tennessee. She began dating her junior, I believe, by a year. I believe he was a year younger than her.
Okay.
Named Tadaryl Ship. Tadaryl.
Okay. Sounds about right.
Together they developed interest in the occult and devil worship.
Oh God.
So, Pike became jealous of her Jobs Corps classmate, 19-year-old Colleen Slemmer, who she believed was trying to quote unquote steal her boyfriend, Ship, from her.
No. I told you it was over a guy.
Friends of Colleen, of course, denied these accusations.
Yeah.
Basically, Pike, Ship, and another friend named Shadola Peterson, who was 18, plan to lure Colleen to an isolated abandoned steam plant near the University of Tennessee campus.
Okay.
So there's her and 2 accomplices, the boyfriend and a friend.
Okay.
So on January 12th.
Okay, so if the boyfriend was going to help kill the girl or help lure her away, then she must have known that the boyfriend wasn't interested in her.
That doesn't mean anything.
Oh my God. Come on, people.
People with mental health issues back then were undiagnosed and all that.
Yeah, I guess. People are so crazy.
So on January 12th, 1995, they and Colleen signed out of their dorm and proceeded to the woods, where Colleen was told they wanted to make peace by offering her some marijuana.
Okay.
Upon arrival at the secluded location, Colleen was attacked by Christa and Ship, while Peterson acted as lookout. So according to later testimony, for the next 30 minutes, so this is kind of gruesome, just fair warning. She was Colleen was taunted, beaten, and slashed, and a pentagram was carved into her chest. And then Christa smashed Colleen's skull with a large chunk of asphalt, killing her. Pike kept a piece of her skull. So in later testimony, in later court documents, and that...
Okay. Am I the only one out there that's like freaking out going, oh my God, these people?
Probably not.
I've been keeping a souvenir.
So, mind you, they were arrested within 36 hours.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because Pike bragged and showed off the piece of skull to everyone at the Job Corps school. So Pike later bragged about killing Colleen, telling students at the center that she had cut Colleen's throat 6 times with a box cutter, cut her back with a meat cleaver, carved a pentagram into her forehead and chest, and continued the violence even though Colleen begged her to stop. We didn't find that out until court documents had been released. So Pike began to show off the piece of skull around the school, and the 3 were arrested within 36 hours.
Yeah.
Again, as we have discussed, you keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, we've talked about this. If you're going to commit murder, if you want to get away with it, don't do it near a camera. Don't take your cell phone, and sure as hell, keep your mouth shut.
But Ship and Peterson were wishing that they were not involved.
Yeah, they would have gotten away with it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they would have done it without Pike's.
No, I agree.
So the logbook showed that Pike, Ship, Peterson, and Slimmer left together, and only 3 of them returned. And that's kind of also where they screwed up, was that they had to sign out of their dorms. And what do you think they were going to say when one of them did return?
We took her for a ride and she got out of the car and walked. I mean, what are they going to say?
Mm-hmm. Detectives found the piece of skull in Pike's jacket pocket. Soon after her arrest, Pike confessed to police of the torture and killing of Colleen, but insisted they were merely trying to scare her and it got out of control. So you brutally torture her for 30 minutes.
But it got out of control.
And you were just trying to scare her.
How does that work?
It doesn't.
You're going to kill her or you're not.
Mm-hmm. There's no scaring her. We've seen that happen. They claimed that in the Slenderman case, too.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear about her being in jail.
Reported in 2015, this is just a side note, 2015, Colleen's mother had repeatedly asked Tennessee authorities that the skull be returned to her for proper burial, which I understand.
Yeah.
Though it remained in possession of the state as evidence, authorities stated it would not be returned while the case remained open, aka until Pike was executed. It would remain with the authorities. So the 3 were each charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. So Ship who had recently turned 17.
Okay. And he's the lookout.
No, he's the boyfriend.
Okay.
2 months before the murder, turned 17, was tried as an adult.
Oh.
Peterson, who agreed to become a witness for the prosecution, received probation after pleading guilty to being an accessory after the fact.
Yes, because he just
she was just
look out.
The prosecution sought the death sentence for Pike and life without parole for Shipp.
Okay, did he get life without?
I have all that.
Okay.
So during Pike's trial, the prosecution was aided by evidence and her confession. She was found guilty on both accounts on March 22nd, 1996, after only a few hours of deliberation.
Yeah.
On March 30th...
Don't confess.
On March 30th, Pike was sentenced to death by electrocution for the murder charge and 25 years for conspiracy. In January 1997, because I believe they were waiting to see how her trial played out for Shipp's.
Yeah.
He was found guilty on both charges. However, the jury did struggle with his sentencing. They could not unanimously agree on if he deserved to spend the rest of his natural life in prison because of his age.
Okay, so what did he get?
In turn, the judge sentenced him to life in prison, but he did receive parole eligibility. Okay. He is actually eligible for parole as of January.
Next year? Mm-hmm. January 26.
Yep.
Okay.
He was not eligible, so he essentially received a consecutive, he was described...
And he's young.
Yeah. He was described as a dangerous individual, and the judge basically gave him a consecutive 25-year sentence for his conspiracy conviction, ensuring that he would not be eligible until his late 40s or early 50s.
Yeah.
So with how Colleen's mother feels about Pike and all of them, guarantees she'll be fighting that.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame her at all.
I'm surprised that she put up with the other person getting probation. Well,
I think it's different because she didn't her only participation was the lookout.
Yeah, I'd still be pissed.
Oh, I would be too.
But she testified against the other two.
And I think that did help even though they had the confession evidence, and they still could have gotten one jury member who didn't agree with agree with it. So I think that actually gave them their case, though, was the witness testimony. Following the guilty verdict, Pike canceled, and then relaunched an appeal of her conviction in the Tennessee state courts. So in June 2001, then again in June 2002, against the advice of her lawyers, Pike asked the courts to drop her appeal and sought to be executed via electrocution.
Okay.
So criminal court judge Mary Beth Lebowitz granted the request, and an execution date of August 19, 2002 was set. She, however, did change her mind, and on July 8, 2002, her defense lawyers filed a motion to allow the appeal process to continue.
Okay.
So the motion was denied. However, August 2nd, 2002, a 3-judge state appeals court panel ruled that the proceedings should be continued and the execution was not carried out. Because every state, you are allowed so many. Yeah. And technically, if you drop that appeal, you legally do have a right to rescind it.
Yes.
And the 3-judge state appeals court found that they illegally denied it.
Yeah.
It was illegal. So in December 2008, Pike's latest request for a new trial was turned down, and she was returned to death row. With this denial, her allowed appeals under the rules and procedures of the state of Tennessee's criminal justice system were technically exhausted.
Okay.
So in May 2014, though, lawyers took her appeals to federal court.
Okay.
Her lawyers saw basically they wanted her death sentence commuted to life in prison.
Okay.
And so they did this on the following grounds: ineffective assistance of counsel. Pike suffered from mental illness, and capital punishment as administered in Tennessee is unconstitutional.
Okay.
So in a 61-page ruling by U.S. District Judge Harry Sandlin Matisse Jr., issued on March 11, 2016, all grounds were rejected and the request was denied.
Okay.
So that 3-judge panel on the United States Courts of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit had heard the same exact arguments.
Okay.
And on October 1st, 2018, they unanimously upheld the lower court ruling and denied relief.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Pike had some interesting times in prison.
Okay.
So on August 24, 2001, Pike, with alleged assistance from inmate Natasha Cornett, attacked and attempted to strangle fellow inmate Patricia Jones with a shoestring and nearly succeeded in choking her to death.
Okay, so this is 2001.
I was going through the appeals first.
Okay.
Well, some of the appeals. Because some of this, what happened to her in prison does actually come back into play in current standing. Jones had been serving a life sentence for a 1994 murder of an 84-year-old in Knoxville at the time of her attack.
Okay, so she is a death row inmate. What is she doing out of her cage?
Well, I will. I have the answer to that actually. Hold on.
Okay.
So essentially, Pike spent 27 years in what her attorneys say was effectively solitary confinement as the only woman on death row, before she won the ability to interact with other inmates during meals, classes, and religious services.
That wasn't 27 years, though. She committed these crimes,
yeah.
And then she did this in 2001.
So I think what happened was that I think this happened maybe when they were moving her.
Yeah.
Between outside and all that. Hush. So I have more arguments about what her attorneys and what she has personally said about this case that we'll get to.
Okay.
So she was convicted of attempted first-degree murder on August 12, 2004. Although the Tennessee Department of Corrections maintained that the fellow inmate assisted in this crime, their investigation concluded there was insufficient evidence to charge her.
Okay.
She received a 25-year sentence for the attack on Jones.
Okay.
March 2012.
So this is 11 years later.
It was revealed that Pike had made escape plans involving a corrections officer and a resident of New Jersey, and a fellow resident of New Jersey. She attempted to escape prison.
So is this a love interest?
Yes. It was someone that she that began writing her letters as a pen pal.
I'm talking about the correction officer.
No. And that was corrections officer Justin Heflin and Donald Kohut of New Jersey. Though it was never determined how these plans began. Kohut, who worked as a personal trainer and was then in his early 30s, entered into a letter-writing correspondence with Pike around the beginning of 2011.
Don't help anybody escape, especially if you're a correction officer. It doesn't go well.
And he didn't get any charges. Corrections officer just got fired. That's all he did. That's all that happened to him. So by July of that year, Kohut was making the nearly 1,700 miles, which is 2,700 kilometers, round trip from Flemington, New Jersey to Nashville to visit her in person on visiting days once or twice a month. So he was committed to her.
He was.
Eventually, he communicated a plan for her escape and enlisted the help of correction officer Heflin, who agreed to participate in return for cash and gifts. Because of security concerns, the Tennessee Department of Corrections has never provided any details about the plan. However, they eventually unsealed an unsealed indictment laid out a scenario where a prison key would be traced and then a duplicate would be basically taken and a duplicate would be made. Early in 2012, prison personnel received information about the escape plot. This led to the attempted prison break being thwarted by a joint investigation involving the Tennessee Department of Corrections, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and the New Jersey State Police. So according to the TBI, the plan was not very far along when uncovered, and the jailbreak was not imminent. So in March 2012, Kohut was arrested and charged with bribery and conspiracy to commit escape, while Heflin was arrested and charged with bribery, official misconduct, and conspiracy to commit escape. Pike was not charged because it was unclear to the investigators if she was a participant in the conspiracy more than just being aware of it. So at this point in time, she was just aware of it. She wasn't planning it or anything. At the end of May, Kohut was sentenced to 7 years in prison to be served at the Tennessee State Northeast Correctional Complex. Heflin, who cooperated with authorities after his arrest, served no prison time, but was terminated from his job with the Tennessee Department of Corrections. She had a wild time in prison.
Yes, she did.
So, she did, because she exhausted her appeals, she did actually have an execution date. It was for August 27, 2020. What was happening in 2020?
COVID.
So, the Tennessee Supreme Court, the Tennessee Attorney General, Herbert Slatery's office requested that the Tennessee Supreme Court set an execution date for Pike. But due to the pandemic in Tennessee and various other factors, her attorneys were granted extensions by the court, allowing them more time to argue why she should not be executed.
Okay.
So the state did not oppose the extensions on June 7, 2021, her attorneys filed a motion to oppose the execution date and request a certificate of commutation.
Yes.
The motion was denied. Before November 2022, Pike had completely exhausted all appeals process. We're talking federally, state, everything.
Okay.
However, in November 2022, the state Supreme Court found that the state's law for juveniles automatically sentenced to life in prison without a chance of parole was unconstitutional. Juveniles.
Yes.
On August 30th, 2023, her lawyers used this ruling in an attempt to reopen her bid to have her 1996 conviction and sentence thrown out.
Yeah,
because of her age.
Yeah.
Because her young age and her damaged mental health at the time of the killing should spare her from facing execution.
Yes, and I assume that didn't save her.
So in October 2023, Knox County Criminal Court Judge Scott Green denied the request, saying that the November 2022 Supreme Court ruling did not apply to her.
Yeah, because she's 19, not 17.
She was 20 at the time.
20.
So the Booker case addressed only juvenile defenders in Tennessee. The High Court, in the opinion written by now retired Justice Sharon Lee, specifically addressed the question of juveniles, not adults.
No.
And this ruling applies only to juvenile homicide offenders, not to adult offenders. The decision stated. Green noted that that Pike was legally an adult when she committed the murder.
Yes.
So that brings us to now.
Okay.
So on September 30, 2025, the Tennessee Supreme Court issued a death warrant for Pike, scheduling her execution to take place exactly 1 year later.
Okay, so she's going to be executed next year, September 30th.
30 years, essentially, after she committed the crime, after the murder. So, and if her execution is carried out, she will be the first woman executed in Tennessee in 200 years, and the 19th woman executed in modern-day U.S. history.
Yep.
So, do you want to hear what Pike has said about the crime?
Sure.
So, in a letter she wrote to the Tennessean, which I'm assuming is a newspaper in Tennessee, it's part of the USA Today network, Pike said that she takes responsibility for the murder and that she has changed drastically since she was a teenager. She said, "Think back to the worst mistake you made as a reckless teenager, while mine happened to be huge, unforgettable, and ruined countless lives. I was a mentally ill 18-year-old kid," and so that's been so weird, like how inconsistent all the age has been for her.
Yeah.
Because some say 20, some say 18. I'm assuming she was 20 when she went to trial.
Yes.
"I was a mentally ill 18-year-old kid. It took me numerous years to even realize the gravity of what I had done, even more to accept how many lives I affected. I took the life of someone's child, sister, and friend. It sickens me now to think that someone as loving and compassionate as myself had the ability to commit such a crime."
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's, you know, at least she's sorry and she's taking accountability. The last one we listened to, he was like, well, how old is she now? It's 30 years old.
So she was
she's
18.
50.
So she was 18.
So almost 50.
I think 49 years old.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is that her attorneys have since argued that had Pike been tried today, she never would have gotten the death penalty given her age and mental health struggles at the time of the crime. They believe she deserves life in prison without the possibility of parole instead of the death penalty. And they might be right, because mental health has come such a far way.
And this is what we talk about, it's mental health.
And they continue with, her childhood was fraught with years of physical and sexual abuse and neglect, but time and treatment for bipolar and post-traumatic stress disorder, which were not diagnosed until years later, Pike has become a thoughtful woman with a deep remorse for her crime. However, Mae Martinez, Colleen's mother, has been steadfast in her support of the death penalty for Pike, saying, I just want Christina down so I can end it, leave my daughter so she can finally be resting. There's not a day goes by that I don't think about Colleen or how she died and how rough it was.
If it was your child, how would you feel?
I'd probably be exactly where
she is.
Her mom, yeah.
Yeah, we talk about
it. Yes. So the last execution of a woman in the U.S. was that of Amber McLaughlin in 2023.
Yeah.
She was the first transgender woman execution in the nation. She was convicted as a man of raping and fatally stabbing 45-year-old Beverly Gunther on November 20th, 2003. Beverly was their ex-girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And the last execution in Tennessee was on August 5th of that of Brian Black for the 1988 murder of his girlfriend and her 2 young daughters. So that is why I kind of wanted to discuss this.
Because it's important.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a challenging case, but I stand by the victim and her family. If this is what she wants,
yeah,
then I think that has to play a huge part in
yes
going forward. I think I really do think the family should get the final say.
I agree, but this kid or this woman, she's a woman, had some really mental illnesses. And so you're supposed to take that into effect. But, like we talk, back then it wasn't as pronounced as it is now.
But I think they're also taking into effect everything that's happened since she went to prison.
Yeah, she tried to kill somebody.
And she tried to escape.
Yeah. So we don't know if she tried to escape. Yeah, like she didn't know.
So. Oh, she had to have been helping.
She must have.
She had to be.
Yes.
But that is Christa Pike, and it's just, it caught my eye because it's the first woman to be executed in years.
Yeah.
And for one that happened a crime that happened 30 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're done for today.
But I'm curious about what you guys think.
Yeah, please let us know what you think.
About what you
and
guys
we're
think.
Sorry we called her by her first name because we're not trying to humanize her.
Mm-hmm.
She committed a crime, and a terrible crime.
A brutal crime.
Yes. So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.